All right, I think we will go ahead and get started. I will monitor people coming into the waiting room. We have a lot more that signed up, so they're probably running from one meeting to the next or grabbing some lunch, depending on where they are. So yeah, we will go ahead and get started. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Karen McBride and I am the president and founder of Bound International. We are an organization that was founded just in July of this year. What a crazy year. But so much has happened, so much has changed, so much will be changing. So we really are looking forward to doing a lot of things and accomplishing a lot of things in the wake of not just recent events, but some trends that had been emerging in the field prior to, prior to us founding the company, and that fits with our ethos and our mission. A little bit about me. Gosh, I've been in the field of international higher education for 16 years. Most of that was spent getting U.S. students to study abroad or do internships or service or research and so forth. Although I also worked a lot with international students and scholars that came in on various programs as well, dual degree, short-term and whatnot. So a lot of experience in international education, and I have, worked a lot, like I said, with study abroad students, but I've also worked for a couple of different universities in the U.S. I've worked for a large public university, and I've worked for a mid-sized private Catholic university. I have also worked for two different study abroad providers in my career that ran programs in two very different parts of the world. One kind of specialized in Europe and the other specialized in Asia and Oceania. And I've also worked for an Italian Institute of Higher Education. I'm also a returned Peace Corps volunteer. I was a community development volunteer on the island of Antigua in the West Indies. And I was able to do doctoral research and act as a Fulbright specialist on invitation in both of those in Thailand, in Bangkok and Chiang Mai, Thailand. So I've had really a great opportunity to see international education take place from many different angles, as a student, as a researcher, as an instructor, and as a staff member as well. So there's a lot of experience amongst myself and my staff, who will introduce themselves in a moment, that bring to this organization to really kind of look at education abroad and sustainability as kind of a joint venture and moving it forward in a more appropriate way for the 21st century. Just a little overview of who we are. Like I said, we were founded in July, and we'll be working on a number of initiatives that we'll go over in detail today, but we're basically looking to build that bridge between efforts in sustainability, particularly in higher education, as well as education abroad. And I like to use the term education abroad because it's not just study anymore, it's internships, research, service learning, all kinds of experiential learning that takes place in an abroad setting, or even virtually with those that are based abroad. So that's really important in who we are. So one of the quick and dirty things that we'll do here, as I kind of advance forward, is I'd like to go ahead and play a very short video. It's meant to be very short. This is the video that's from our landing page on our homepage on our website, which is www.bound-intl.com. So this is a real quick snippet and overview of who we are and what we do. And then once that concludes, we'll continue moving forward. This is also available on YouTube, but we'll just go ahead and play it. Hopefully you can hear the sound and everything will come through okay.
We don't have any sound.
Oh, you don't have any sound?
No, still can't hear it.
Oh, can't hear it? All right, just a moment. I'm not sure if everybody's hearing some sound. Let me see. Here, let me turn it over. Mauricio, do you want to take a quick look? If I share, if you kind of run the presentation on your end. Let's
Oh,
see.
we have Leslin who says need to share your computer sound.
Okay, so
After you
is that
start,
under audio? Is that under audio settings?
If you let me share it, I can share it.
Okay. Yeah, hang on just a moment. All right, just a moment here. Apologies for that. I'm normally not the producer. Let's see if we can turn that over. Mauricio, are you able to new share? Are you able to pick that up?
Not right now.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do. Like I said, this is available on our website. Just in the interest of time, we don't really want to cut anybody off if they have some questions for us at the end. So my apologies on that, but this is available on our homepage, which we'll share later, and it's a real quick video. So just thought that would be an easy peasy way of going over everything so I don't dominate too much of the conversation, but we'll go ahead and move forward. So here, what we want to talk about is what motivates us. So, you know, the way in which we got started, I'll just share, is that one of the things that I experienced is probably about 2 years ago. I remember Brian Whalen, formerly of the Forum on Education Abroad, posted a piece on LinkedIn and kind of commented on the fact that, you know, some questions and concerns were coming up about study abroad being compatible with a lot of the sustainability initiatives taking place on college campuses. And so, you know, I remember forwarding that to my supervisor at the time, who is an associate vice provost and our senior international officer, and said, you know, maybe we should talk about this. And she thought that was a great idea. So for me, it's been almost a 2-year journey of talking about sustainability and how can we think about education abroad in partnership with those professionals in that professional arena. And certainly there have been concerns in education abroad for a long time about access and inclusion. The face of study abroad has looked largely like mine. And quite frankly, the fact is that a majority of students anywhere in the world, even outside of the US, access and the ability to study abroad is limited to a small percentage of the population. So that was continuously an issue. And then when plane travel and air travel and everything sort of shut down in April and May, it kind of made us really, I think, dig deep, a lot of us thinking about what is the pathway forward? How do we reshare and revisit our values? What were the points that we were missing prior to this that has really forced us to relook at what we do and to advance everything forward? So everyone on staff here, including myself, is still very much a huge advocate of physical travel. We don't want to leave any notions out there that somehow virtual opportunities, which can be very impactful, or other opportunities somehow replace travel. Everything should be part of a very robust menu. Everything should complement each other. But as soon as we're able to fly and to travel more, we certainly promote that and really want students and scholars to have those opportunities. Intercultural engagement. I do have somewhat of a background of being an intercultural trainer. I have done intercultural training for faculty, staff, and students for a number of years. That's a critical component to what we do in education abroad. Transformation by geography, what I call it. Again, there are many great things we can do virtually, but there is something to be said about being in a physical location, especially a location you're not used to being in, being amongst a population you're not used to interacting with, and having that kind of social transformation that comes along with the environment. Climate action, this is part of the Sustainable Development Goals by the UN. This is how do we mitigate or prevent or reverse climate change. There's a number of initiatives that can be done, but what are the actions we're taking to do that? Social justice certainly has gotten a lot more highlighting since this summer, especially in the United States regarding some events here, but it's always been extremely important. It's getting elevated in better ways as a result, and certainly as part of those SDGs as well. It's not just working on the environment, but those that inhabit it. As we know, the impact of climate change is not equal or equitable. It is affecting certain locations and populations more. Public health, certainly tied to climate change and the quality of life people have. The Sustainable Development Goals and, excuse me, circular economies, which if you haven't read up on that term a little bit, it's about how do societies function and thrive economically, socially, and politically that's not at the expense of critical or minute resources. So how do we get away from critical resources being the underpinning of our existence, and how do we put all of our efforts back into what we do, kind of providing, recycling is one easy way of doing it, but also how do we provide opportunities for people that then place them back in better positions in society and so forth. And then, of course, innovative technology. We're all having to become technical experts. I just had my videos, since I'm not used to being producer, couldn't figure out the sound quickly enough. But, we all have maybe some war stories or horror stories since this past spring and doing online learning or meetings and so forth. But there is so much out there, and it evolves very quickly, and it's evolved exponentially since this spring. So how do we utilize technology to really advance our initiatives? So I will then turn this over quickly, since that's a little bit about who we are and what motivates us, to my colleague, Sharaya Sanjeev.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you're calling from. Thank you for joining us. It's so nice to see you all here today. Just a very quick introduction of who I am and what I do. My name is Sharaya Sanjeev, and I work as the Sustainability Fellow for Bound International. I'm a marine biologist by training. I got my postgraduate degree from James Cook University a couple of years ago, and now I'm also a postgrad student at NYU at the moment. So it's very nice to meet you all. So let me, with that, quickly talk to you a little bit about our environmental impact reports. Okay, so while most of our traditional impact reports really look at calculating carbon emissions through flight travel alone, we're trying to attempt in doing a more comprehensive approach towards study abroad programs because total carbon emissions or the footprint of a program abroad is much greater than just air travel alone. So this is the gap that we're trying to bridge. So what are we really looking at? So we look at flight travel, not just between different places, but if there are other regional travels within the host country. We look at ground travel at the host country, food consumption, the restaurants that students or the staff visit, places that students stay at, the hotels, for example. We also look at areas that students visit as part of their curriculum, and also students visit as part of their tourist activity. We can't completely, I guess, negate the fact that there is a certain amount of tourism that's built within the curriculum or the very nature of these courses. So that's also something to be very mindful of. So that's also something that we take a look at. So very briefly, how do we do this? I won't go into a lot of detail, but I'll just touch brief on how we are
Shreya? I think we lost her.
Yeah, it looks like Sharaya froze up a little bit, so our journey with technology continues. But if she can join us back here, she can continue on. But just to piggyback on what Sharaya was saying, is that the environmental impact reports are really meant to look at the impact.
We got her back.
Oh, is she back?
Yes.
Hi, I'm so sorry. My internet's all over the place. Hi, guys. I'm really sorry. Do you know where did I get cut off? I can continue.
Talking about our approach and how we're going to be looking at all of these things in regards to education.
Oh, right. Got it. Sorry, let me continue from there. Okay, so we analyze the data that we finally get using CMAP, which is the Sustainability Indicator Management and Analysis Platform, which was developed by the University of New Hampshire, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, which is a very comprehensive tool in understanding our greenhouse gases footprints. So the idea really is not just to generate a report that looks at numbers, looking at specific carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases outputs, but we really are trying to achieve a more holistic view of different study abroad programs. So we're trying to understand, how do we travel to these places? How do students make decisions in terms of ground travel, for example? What activities do they undertake when they are on these study abroad programs? Are there any related components to sustainability or environmental education or social awareness at all? If not, how can we introduce them?
Oh, I think it happened again. Yeah, I'll just give her a moment to head back in. But so an overview is, we're looking at education abroad programs and the impact that students are having, looking at location, type, detailed flight paths. So one of the things that does take place right now, if any of you are familiar with the organization called ASHE, which for those of us in education abroad is kind of the NAFSA for sustainability officers. Sharaya, are you back with us yet?
Yes. Not yet.
So what ASHE does,
she's back.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and continue here for just a moment, is that what ASHE has is they have what's called a STARS report, and they have college campuses report on all of their sustainability initiatives, and it's a very detailed report, and you can get a ranking based on your activity, education, recycling, compost, and so forth. Energy usage. And there is one aspect to those reports that looks at carbon emissions or scope 3 carbon emissions, but it's only one question within a pretty detailed report. And they actually ask to collect all flight information on behalf of the entire university. So if you went to a conference in Washington, D.C., that's lumped in with your 300 students that went to Italy, for example. So what we seek to do is actually look at the carbon emissions and other aspects of activity by universities to see what the impact is per program, and that can be based on faculty-led or single travel exchange programs and so forth. So Sharaya is back with us, and I think she was talking about CMAP and that exercise as well.
Okay, can everyone hear me? I sincerely apologize for dropping out of the meeting so many times. The internet here is crazy today. All right, so can we segue into sustainability education? Okay.
There we go.
Thank you. Sorry about that again. So with sustainability education, we all have an understanding that study abroad not only impacts students, but also our host cities and families and communities and the environment, of course. So from carbon emissions due to air travel or the things that we buy in these places, for example, even single-use plastics. So the choices that we make can have positive or negative short and long-term consequences for the home and host communities that we go to. So how do we negate this? How do we make it better? So our aim is to basically achieve internationalizing the curriculum and engaging in collaborative online international learning or virtual exchanges, which are very important alternatives to mobility. Like Karen mentioned earlier, we're not completely negating mobility, but these are also ways that we can add more enrichment to the current curriculum of any study abroad program. So how do we do this? First, we're looking at webinars where we aim to create a platform for industry experts from international higher education, sustainability and environmental educators, industry leaders and organizations where they get to share latest research and dialogue for best practices and organizations to share latest research and for study abroad programs or higher education in general. We then also have social media, which we very recently launched, where we will regularly serve as a base for information and knowledge on various current updates in the field. We will help study abroad programs build and target students through curriculum development and intensive use of technology, as Karen mentioned a little earlier before. And we will help them build new curriculum for current study abroad programs where we can encourage faculty to tweak what they have existing to bring in an element of sustainability or environmental education that's very specific to the country or the region that the students are visiting. Also, we will help them build very specific environmental, climate change, or social justice assignments, for example, that will help students give themselves an afterthought of what they've really studied during these programs. So in a nutshell, we aim to exemplify various ways in which higher education can implement the sustainable development goals into teaching and general study abroad. Very sustainability focused programs or implementing study abroad programs that can have an additional sustainability component with their existing current curriculum. And it's also to encourage students with projects that involve inter-silo collaboration. So this at its very crux is the aim that we have for sustainability initiatives. That was a lot of information. I'm very happy to answer questions at the end of the seminar. So I will now pass this on to Suzanne, who will talk to us a little bit more about Coil.
Thank you, Sharaya.
Okay, so first, can everyone hear me? So my name is Suzanne, and I'm the e-learning and instructional design fellow for Bound International. And before joining Bound International, I was an educator for 10 years. I worked primarily with English language learners, the last 6 years being with UC Davis. And while I was at UC Davis, I became involved with the Coil project. And so what is Coil? Coil is collaborative online international learning. And it's the idea of having 2 different classrooms from 2 different institutions. It could be domestic, but most likely it's international, and they would collaborate and work together on a project where the students could interact and grow and learn from each other. And especially with what's going on right now, with study abroad programs not working or not, people are not being able to travel, Coil program has increased in terms of popularity. It's mainly because we've had to pivot really quickly to online and remote learning. And at the same time, what it does promote an opportunity for students to interact with others who may not be in the same areas. So in many ways, our Coil program is influenced by first having staff with expertise, such as myself in my role, but also with our Coil coaches and others involved, and also trying to provide a hard pivot to online learning and trying to promote equity and access to other cultures. And that's what we'll talk a little bit later. So our Coil program does the following. We provide help in terms of doing international partner sourcing and matching. So a big part of Coil is that it's hard to find a really good partner. And so what we will do is we will help you find a partner to help in promoting these programs. At the same time, we will also provide a Coil platform. So right now we're using Microsoft Teams, and we want to have one key platform for all of our team members to be able to use, because a key part of Coil is that there has to be a space where different students can be able to be and meet together. So we provide that as well. We also provide faculty training. So for the past 4 weeks,
Yep, I know Suzanne had some minor issues this morning with her area as well. It looks like we in New York and in Davis, California, we have the same kind of issue going on. But until Suzanne comes back in, is she back?
Yeah, she's back.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's here.
Okay. We have a lot of practice in executing Coil, so this is normal.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn my video off. Maybe that will help in maintaining the stability of my internet. So, so faculty training, we've been doing some faculty training for the past 4 weeks. And with the faculty training, we talk a little bit about what is Coil, what are ways for the
We have her again. Yeah, so I'll jump in here while she's coming back. We just concluded 4 weeks of training. Are you back, Suzanne?
Not yet.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, she's here. Okay. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Yes, so we just completed a 4-week faculty training where we talked a little bit about Coil, the different tools that can be used for part of Coil. Also, we provide a Globe Smart license, which includes different ways for you to learn more about the cultures that are interacting with each other, as well as different intercultural assessment tools and data that can be used as part of the program. Another key part that we
We had some issues there. I think she was gonna reference the fact that we have a key part of our model as well is that we will have Coil coaches. These are individuals that have strong backgrounds in online teaching and learning, intercultural training and development, curriculum and design, teaching international students or in international classroom settings. And each faculty pair is actually provided a coach, somebody to help them in mentoring them through developing a project, co-developing a syllabus together, and how to approach the international intercultural learning, as well as how to maximize the use of technology, making sure you're ensuring student learning outcomes. And then that way you have a professional there to help guide you along. Suzanne, are you back? Oh, I don't think she is. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did set up for faculty is that our model is very full service oriented. The reason is there are a lot of faculty out there that I think have a lot of interest in being a part of Coil. I know when I was at the University of Dayton a few years ago, we started our own Coil cohort program in our School for Engineering. And we had faculty who were very interested, but they had some conditions. They had to make sure they had the time. They had to make sure that maybe they got course release and some funding and a stipend to put forth the effort. You know, faculty are raising families, they're conferencing, maybe publishing. Maybe they feel as though I'm a lecturer, maybe I'm not qualified to do this, which of course is not the case. But we put together a model that really is full service because we wanted to make sure that we just need interested faculty, and we'll do a lot of the heavy lifting and the core training and core strategies. There is a great benefit to working within a cohort and learning from each other and spending several months together before launching a project. But we know that that can be very stressful to faculty, particularly at this time. We don't want faculty to think I need 6 to 9 months of my life to dedicate towards learning how to do this and becoming an expert on these things before I can teach the course. We really are strategic in the resources we deliver and the methodology we put together and providing that coach as well. Mauricio, just let me know, or Suzanne, if she comes back, but I'll help her out. She notified me this morning there was kind of a power outage in her area. So typical of the day you're going to do a webinar. So it's not her fault. But we also provide, like I said, strategic curriculum and resources for faculty. So we kind of introduce them to what COIL is, what best practice is, what common models are, and some key activities. Some are sustainability oriented, some are going to be intercultural learning oriented. And then we provide those to faculty without also telling them, well, there's a wide world out there of resources, go find them and good luck. We feel like that would actually disincentivize a lot of faculty members, which is why we are very strategic in what we train them on and provide them, and having a full service model. We also put together towards the end of the COIL program, our early adopters are all being a part of spring classes. So they are working together after their training to put everything together with their partners and their coaches, and they will be teaching this spring. And at the end of the spring, we will actually be doing evaluations and distributing not just those evaluations, but the intercultural assessments that we will be doing of students as well as faculty who go through the program, providing those reports to their colleagues in their departments or international programs offices. The reason is for those of us like myself who have been in an international academic staff, we always like to keep track of the international activity that's going on and intercultural learning activity that's going on. And it's hard to do, especially on a large campus, what people are involved in. So this is our way of really providing that additional support to your faculty or to your staff and your administrators who are wanting to keep track of these activities, to departments that might need, for example, to acquire resources, how impactful are these programs, what's going on, what happened, and so forth. So that will be a report that we provide to the faculty and the university at the conclusion. And then we're going to have various activities in which we want to engage our program alumni, faculty, as well as students as time goes on, and provide a lot of critical data to the field in terms of how impactful COIL is. So I'll move on to the next slide. Suzanne, just jump in if you're back. If not, I'm happy to step in, or my colleague Mauricio might do that as well. But oh, are you here?
I'm back, but I'm back, but it's probably best if you or Mauricio continues because I keep getting dropped.
Okay, sure. Not a problem. So it's too bad because Suzanne is such a great teacher. She's actually an award-winning online instructor and a background in TESOL. I don't know if she mentioned that. And she has lived in Japan and Eastern Europe, or no, Korea, I'm sorry, and Eastern Europe, and she's had great experiences. So that's too bad. But here's a quick map of where our early adopters are from, those faculty that we are training right now and working with that are going to be co-teaching and working on Coil projects in the spring. We have them from different parts of the United States and also from Latin America and the Caribbean. Well, not really the Caribbean, that's Puerto Rico there. But we are very strategic in who we work with. And I know that my colleague Mauricio will talk more about that. And so just to kind of give you a sense of where our current faculty for Coil are from and how they're collaborating with each other. And then we just have a picture there of kind of a snapshot of our training, one of our training sessions that we had this fall. And that's Suzanne kind of letting people know how to do Coil and best practice, because she herself, as a TESOL instructor at UC Davis, actually did a couple of Coil projects with a partner in Japan. And so she has that direct experience as well. I don't know if Mauricio, you want to add anything before heading on to the next slide?
I think that we have a lot of partnerships right now with Latin America and Africa that we would like to discuss with you guys to see in the future we can add more, we can develop more projects together between your university and the universities in those places. So this program that we did 4 weeks ago, we got a lot of people from the US, we got from people from Puerto Rico, from Mexico, from Colombia, from Bolivia, and they have been working with Coil, some of them, for the last few years, and they have been seeing all the webinars that Sunny gives out and all the workshops that they gives out. But their answer and their response of this webinar was just amazing. They thought that they didn't find anything in anywhere else that on this webinar, on these workshops, they have found a lot of strategic ideas and a lot of guidance and a lot of tools that they will help them to develop even better their Coil projects. So it was a great experience, even though it was the first experience that we had this year. But it was amazing to work with so many people from around the world, different latitudes, and not only for faculty, but also with professors, but also with Coil coaches. That we have some of them from Africa as well, some of them from Colombia, some of them here from the States, and it was amazing to see how the coaches and the faculty start to interact between each other and seeing how they are developing new projects that they didn't know before, because most of the universities, well, they have done some Coil, but these exact professors, they didn't know much about it, especially in some places in Latin America. So it was an amazing experience.
Yeah, and we had, for our early adopter program, we had way more interest than those we wanted to accommodate. For an early adopter program, we wanted to be very strategic, keep the cohort smaller. So there was probably about 5 or 6 times more faculty interested in working with us for early adopters than we had spaces for. Moving forward, looking at our fall program, which we can talk about, which is our next cohort who would begin training in the spring, that we would be open to accommodating as many faculty members as possible. We would not be strategically keeping that group a little bit smaller. So we just wanted to profile these a little bit, and we'll move on here. And Mauricio can also start by telling you a little bit about himself and a little bit more about these other key initiatives.
That's right. Okay. So before you jump in this one, on this slide, as well, we have some people that are from Argentina, from Brazil, from Peru, from Chile, from different parts of Central America, from Panama, that they were very interested, but as Karen mentioned, we couldn't get all the people involved, just a few of them. So we want to have for the next semester, we can have more and more faculty involved. So let me talk about a little bit of myself. My name is Mauricio Izquierdo. I'm from Colombia, and I've been working for international education for the last 13 years. I've been implementing and successfully educational projects between Latin America in institutions in Canada, United States, Europe, Central America, and Africa. Right now, I'm a second-year doctoral student in the University of Missouri, in education leadership and public analysis. And my role inside Bound is I'm the partnership business development consultant. So that means I need to research, identify, seed our partnerships, opportunities between your university and different parts of and other universities parts of on the parts of the world. So basically working in Coil, we're looking always for the best match for you. That I know that it's not easy to find the match and to find the perfect match for that it will suit you. So we will look for that, and we will see, and we will take you to the hand with all the process. And also as well, I've been working for this organization dedicated to monitoring and measure sustainability and business practices, tourism services, and sustainability business practices that Sharaya mentioned before. And also we work with faculty and community experts in areas of climate actions, climate justice, assisting different educational service. And we're focusing in Latin America and Africa. I will tell you a little bit more why Africa and Latin America. So some of the partnership developed initiatives that we have is Coil, that we have been talking a lot about it. And I think that it will be a nice opportunity for you guys to get involved with a new partner or a new faculty member that you never talked with him or with her, so we can make you the match. Another initiative will be the environmental impact reports, the sustainability projects worldwide, and also besides doing the partnership with the universities worldwide, we work with third-party providers and organizations and community that work with climate actions and climate justice, as I mentioned before. So why do we want to work with Latin America and with Africa? Why is that? We want to accelerate the virtual mobility of the students and faculty, preventing virtual exchange from mirroring traditional studying abroad by the US, and particularly which are heavily active in Europe. Most of the students from the US go to Europe, so we want to send them, or we want to do virtual exchanges with Africa and with Latin America. And we know that because this is a critical regions for educations, for migration, and for climate action. So that's the things that we are focusing right now to develop more and more partnership. I know that for my experience that most of the universities from Latin America and Africa are afraid, or they don't know how to make a contact with US institutions. So that's why we are there. We wanted to help you to make this connection in both sides. So so one of the other things that we're working on is that we are developing some webinars. We will be holding some webinars in the next quarterly, starting from March in 2021. Some of the topics that you will see on these webinars are Coil, virtual exchange, sustainability education, sustainability traveling, and most of them, well, all of them are free, and that is good for the budget of each university. Another thing that we like to point out is the high critical climate action and climate justice initiatives relating to higher education worldwide. We would like to focus on study abroad programs that teach environment and science, sustainability, and other topics. We want to focus as well to research abroad by faculty or students on these topics. And obviously, we want to develop partnerships between higher education, communities, or governments abroad with these working issues. So we like to help you to develop those partnerships and develop these relationships, long-term relationships with different universities in Latin America and in Africa. Obviously, Bound wants to be a strategic planner and in higher education relating to international programs and environmental sustainability. And obviously, we want to identify and promote projects particularly, as I mentioned, in Global South, that could use partners in higher education or in direct investment to advance. So another thing that we didn't mention before, there's a lot of grants that we can help you to apply and can help you to develop with some of the countries that we're working with that are with Europe, with Africa, and obviously with Latin America. There's a lot of grants that we can apply. And just for one example, 100,000 K Strong of the Americas is open right now to develop some projects with Mexico, with Colombia, and with other parts of South America. So we'll be there to help you to develop these grants as well. Obviously on the topics that we manage.
Yeah. Thank you, Mauricio. And yeah, that's a great overview of what we do, and those partnerships with those communities abroad, whether they're nonprofit or singular, or maybe even at the local government level or higher, providing opportunities for higher education, especially in the United States, to partner in ways outside of traditional colleges and universities to really advance a lot of different initiatives, whether it's direct investment in the form of sending students to do research or study these critical areas or environments, faculty or scholar research, or even direct monetary investment. I know that there have been some conversations over the past few years about U.S. colleges and universities in particular looking at divesting from fossil fuel investments as part of their financial portfolio, and that's really gained some steam. So there's other ways that universities can look at this, and we hope to be really a broker in that. And we do have that strategic interest in developing all types of programs, Coil and sustainability oriented and partnership activity in Latin America and Africa. But we will work all over the world. We will be executing Coil programs with partners in France and Australia and China. But we will have kind of a specialization and a more of a strategic interest in developing partnerships throughout the US, Africa, and Latin America. So we have some time for some question and answer, which we would like to do. While we're doing that, I thought we would put some of these links up for those of you that are interested in figuring out, if I wanted to get more details on the environmental impact report or explore a sustainability education partnership a little bit more, or, nominate some faculty, or if you're faculty yourself in being a part of our Coil program. For fall, there is a way to do that. There's a homepage that has our inclusions as well as a survey. And just a shout out that on December 11th, I am a co-editor of a book with the Forum on Education Abroad on sustainable education abroad, and proposals are due December 11th. So if you consider yourself a scholar or scholar practitioner in any area related to these two principal areas, please feel free to contribute your expertise. So if you would like to unmute your microphone and ask a question, you may do so. If you feel more comfortable putting something in the chat, you can do so as well. So I'll head over to, okay, we just had some updates in the chat. Are there any specific questions that anybody has about anything that we offer or anything related to this area? Feel free to just unmute and to ask.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, Rachel Cresso here from Virtual Internships. And I was wondering, you talked about the NAFSA of sustainability. What was that again?
Oh, that's the ASHE organization. I think it's the American Association for Sustainability in Higher Education. So the acronym is ASHE, A-A-S-H-E. And as I've gotten to know ASHE over this past year, it is kind of a premier membership organization for sustainability professionals. It is based in the US, and most of their members are US based, but that is rapidly changing. They are wanting more and more international partners. So, and they had a virtual conference this past October. So if you're in sustainability in higher education, there's a good chance you're probably a member of ASHE or know of it. Similar to if you're in international higher education, you know who NAFSA is, or you've been a member at some point.
Yeah, and I just saw the link. Thanks so much, whoever posted the link there. And you mentioned also the STARS report. Is that from them?
Yeah, STARS is an acronym as well, STARS, Sustainability Tracking Assessment Report. I'm guessing a little bit, maybe Sharaya knows that better than me, but they do an annual report where universities can report in all their sustainability initiatives on campus, whether that's food sourcing, energy usage, recycling, compost, sustainability education, and they can elect to not only be members of ASHE, but submit their sustainability-oriented activity according to a pretty lengthy survey. And then they are kind of measured by ASHE and given a rating, so gold, silver, platinum, and those reports are also made online. I think you can look up everyone who submitted it, and it's within that report that you have what's called a scope 3 carbon emissions question. So it's a very detailed survey, but there's only one kind of question on that. And I know that the University of Dayton, we were kind of an early adopter of this report, and we submitted our carbon emissions information, which was flight information, but they really just kind of asked for all flight information. So if you went to a conference in DC, that was lumped in with the same data as, 300 students that went to Italy, and 100 that went to Australia, and so on and so forth. So it was all kind of put together. And so there has been discussion at ASHE about maybe expanding that somehow, but we're kind of coming in and saying we'll not only expand that element of a report similar to that, but we'll look at other aspects of sustainability too.
Great, thanks for that, and great presentation, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We'll just check the chat here. Okay, so we do have a question come in. What's the action item, if any, connected to our environmental impact reports? Is it to raise awareness, or are these reports tied to carbon offsets or other actions? So the action item is actually, we would consult with the university. We would take a look at one or all of their programs. Let's say, faculty-led, or if they wanted to do exchange, although faculty-led would be the easiest route because those programs are highly structured and there's a great record of daily activity as well as student enrollment. So we would actually look at it, and we would measure and look at all the activity that took place on site. And once we had that information, those measurements, we would compile a report and share it with the university and say, this is what we've measured your impact to be on this program or on this composite of programs. And then the university would need to think through and make some decisions. Hopefully you would have international programs as well as sustainability officers in that meeting. Say, well, if we don't like the impact that we're seeing as measured here, what are ways to mitigate that? I know that a lot of universities are very loyal to their international education initiatives as well as their sustainability initiatives. So how do we make sure we reconcile the two? So it's hard to move around resources or create resources to promote things or to create things unless you actually know what you're dealing with. And I think a lot of people in international education right now are kind of saying, yeah, study abroad seems to run counterintuitive to sustainability. And so, but that's as far as they get. I mean, how do you really know what is that impact and can it be measured? And then once we know and have the data, that's going to better position us to make some decisions. So that ultimately the decision on how to create or move around resources is up to the university, but we hope to provide that critical information, that insight that will then help them determine according to their mission and values and what resources they do have, how they're going to address that. I don't know if Andrew, if that was really helpful or not, but we have, what was the resource you mentioned from the University of New Hampshire? Sharaya, can you mention that again?
I sent it in.
Okay, it's called CMAP, yeah. SIMAP, lots of acronyms, right? If you're in international education, it's all about the acronyms. Okay. All right, I think that's good for the chats. Does anybody else have any questions or any comments about anything? We only had about 40 minutes to run through, so it's a lot to go through, a whole organization. But if you have any initial questions now, we can certainly take those.
Maybe some questions how to apply for the next semester or for 2021.
Yeah, we have on this link here, you know, the one where it says Fall 2021 Coil Faculty Survey. If you go to our website, which is bound-intl.com / collaborative online international learning, and when there's a drop-down menu on our homepage as well, it will tell you about the inclusions of our Coil program in a little bit more detail. And there's also a link there to access the survey. Oh. Okay, sorry, I thought somebody was jumping in with a question. But the survey actually asks a lot of questions. Who's teaching the course? What's the name of the course? What's the mission of the university? Do you have a partner? Are you looking for a partner? What's important for you in a partner? What's important to your professional development as a faculty member? And we're gleaning information so that we can identify a partner for you, because I think also one of those barriers to doing Coil is faculty feel like, well, I don't have a good buddy who teaches economics in Nigeria. If I did, that's who I'd be working with. But they just want to meet people and make those connections, and we do that. And I will also mention, we have had faculty who say, well, I actually do have a colleague and a friend at a university in, you know, Argentina or Puerto Rico, and we would like to do this. Can we do the program together without using the partner sourcing? And we can absolutely do that. We can source a partner for you, or if you have one already, we can train the both of you and put you both in the program. So it's perfectly fine if you have somebody in mind that you'd like to work with. But there is a survey there for those who are interested. Feel free to share that with your colleagues or other faculty. They can fill that out. We will follow up with each individual person as they respond. So you know, they're not signing a contract when they fill out the survey. We will make sure we have our due process and working not only with them, but making sure their departments are involved, their recommended partners, the international programs offices. We know who those stakeholders are that help make those decisions. So you can sign up for that. And then we have a contact form on our contact page that you can submit an interest or inquiry if you'd like to be a part of our early adopter program for our environmental impact report, which will start next year, early next year. Or if you want to work more on sustainability education initiatives. And we will continue to be putting out products and services as the year goes on next year as well. But if you have that real keen interest, just let us know. Let me check here. Oh, yep. So I think Mauricio just shared those links as well in the chat. But I think we're moving in a really good direction. I think we're having some of these critical discussions in international education and environmental sustainability. We have to reconcile the two. People who work in sustainability have oftentimes traveled or lived abroad, and they enjoyed it and learned a lot. And people in international education, in my experience, I've not met one person who said they didn't care about climate change. So there's fruitful ground upon which we can partner together. We just have to kind of maybe step out of those preset paradigms we've been so used to for a long time and really reimagine how we do these things and how we do them together and how we see each other as a resource.
Can I ask another question? Do you have time?
Sure.
Yeah. So Rachel Christopher again from Virtual Internships, and you had mentioned experiential education, and I was wondering if you'd had any thoughts on virtual internships as being a part of that. You know, kind of a step beyond study abroad, but internships abroad. But
yes, no, it's a great question. And I wish my colleague Suzanne were able to tune in, because she's our kind of our resident Coil expert. But yes, a lot of what we do in Coil, we are actively looking for and trying to incorporate experiential learning, because Coil does work best on a project. Projects can take many different forms, but we also want to make sure that when we are connecting classrooms, that there are actually real, authentic projects for students to work on, because that really motivates students. It gets them really excited to think that they are doing an internship or doing research on behalf of an organization or gathering data or providing a service. So that could be the project within Coil is actually one of the faculty members maybe has a contact in their home country, or there's one in the others. They say, look, I think this organization can provide that experiential learning opportunity for us. And so, you know, if for those of you that do offer those internships and are moving to virtual internships, we would love to talk with you and to see how we can work together. Our organization not only wants to work with universities and colleges all over the world and local communities and local governments, but also third-party providers that have a lot of experience and a lot of resources pertaining to education abroad. So, you know, our goal is to always have these projects in mind. If faculty can't find them or source them, we can also help them with that, or potentially an organization like yourself.
Yep, thank you very much.
Uh-huh. We have time for maybe one more quick question. We will follow up. We are recording this webinar and we will send a follow up to all of the attendees. We'll also include the email addresses of all the staff. If you'd like to ask Sharaya a specific question, or Mauricio or Suzanne or even myself, we will do that. We'll include these links. You know, as you go along, as you're thinking things over, moving into 2021, which we all hope will be a vast improvement to 2020. Even if it's a slog at first, so long as we're aiming upwards or outwards, I think we'll all be happy. And we're here to really develop partnerships, create even more partnerships, and really kind of take a linked armed approach to education abroad. How do we make this more doable for more students, for more organizations? And how do we kind of help kind of move us into a new era? So we will provide this information, like I said, and please do visit our website and just let us know if you have any questions. But thank you all so very much for attending today. Sorry for the occasional technical glitches. This is the world we live in. I have seen much worse. So thank you so much for attending, and we will be following up and we hope to hear from you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Okay. Sharaya and Julian and Mauricio, and oh, here we go. Okay, there we go.
I think it's just the four of us. Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking of just saying, let's just jump on to Teams, but yeah.
Yeah, now it's just the four of us. Let me check.
You can stop recording now, so if you want to.
Yeah, oh, I thought I had stopped.